Okay, I'm Sister Cyril. I'm a Loreto sister. I've been working for the last 34 years in Loreto, Cialda, and particularly I have a special thing about transferring a lot of our work from charity to justice, because a lot of what we have been doing in the past, which has been very, very good work, and I would like to congratulate the Loreto nuns on it, it has in many cases been charity. In other words, giving things out, giving people food, giving them education and so on. But I feel that we need to move now much, much more into the situation of justice. And justice for people means equality, not necessarily equal treatment, but each one to be given what is necessary for them to solve their own, provide solutions to their own problems. Justice is not something where we go along and pat people on the head and give them handouts and tell them this is justice. It's not justice. Justice means that they should be on an equal par with the people around them. They shouldn't be patronised, and they shouldn't be treated like children. We need to actually provide them with the material they need to look after themselves. And I think when this is done, and when people are able to take their place on par with others around them, then that is what justice is all about. And when it comes to our schools, our Loreto schools particularly, we need to be very much aware of transforming ourselves and our schools into centres, resource centres for the very poorest. And by that I don't mean refuges where they can just come and sit around and be helped. I mean much, much more training centres where we stimulate people and we help them and we do capacity building with them so that they build up their own capacities and can find solutions to their own problems. And when we bring the children into the school, we don't bring them in as on a sort of a second-class footing. They come in on an equal footing with everyone else. That means they get the same uniforms as everyone else, they get all the other things that they need as everyone else, but they are also challenged, like the rest of the children, to reach out beyond themselves in help and care to other people around them. So that while they have received justice on their side, they also have to practice justice. It's not just a one-way practice. Yeah, so this, what we're talking about now is this movement of from charity to justice, where we are seeking to provide for people what they need in order to solve their own problems. And I go back then to Mary Ward. Mary Ward, who had on her tombstone, to live with the poor, to die with the poor, and to rise with the poor, was ever the aim of Mary Ward. And I think Mary Ward also was thinking in terms of justice rather than just charity. Because in the England in which she grew up, there was a tremendous amount of injustice particularly against the Catholics over religion. And this kind of thing would not be solved by simple charity. It needed a absolutely organic change within the whole system, within the whole political system, the whole structural system. And this is true also in our day and age. If we really to have justice for the very poorest people, then we also have to change a lot of the political scene and a lot of what goes on, even under the name of charity. We have to look at things from a different point of view also, altogether. We have to think in terms of God, who selected from all the people of Israel, he selected the last and the least to be the ones who would do his work for him. And I think that is true for us also, that if we see even our poorest people as people who are capable of justice and who have to have justice done to them first so they can do justice to others, and I think that is one of the ways by which we can help and by which we can follow Mary Ward's guidance. And in our schools, all of this should be built into our education system. So our children don't just learn about justice in a two-dimensional way, they learn about justice by having hands-on experience. And that they do by having this whole work for justice melded into their curriculum, into their educational system. So that when they are thinking about a thing like, for example, say justice or education, they realise that unless they go out and do something towards it with regard to the children around them, that this will not come to pass. The realization that we must make our own stand, that we must move forward ourselves. So our children go out every week to the villages to teach. They teach the street children coming in off the street. We keep our gates open so that all the children are welcome. All these things are ways by which children learn, by doing and by seeing things done, not just by being told. But when children are told about something, it doesn't make sense. And we talk an awful lot about doing justice, but what is the justice that we do? When some poor person comes into the door, we're too busy, we don't even see them. When a poor child comes late to school, she's fined, or she finds the gates closed against her. These are ways by which the poor people are given very clear messages in our big schools that they're not really welcome. And it's very, very important for us, as Loreto Sisters, to carefully examine all the structures in our schools and make sure that none of them are instruments of injustice towards our poorest children. Because many times we bring in our poorest children and they drop out, and we don't understand why. But if we examine our structures, we will find that in almost all cases, if a child drops out from school, it's because there is some structure which is inimical to her as a person. It makes her feel embarrassed, it makes her feel incapable or not wanted, or something that is in the school which is not according to justice for the very poorest child. And if our schools are to succeed in the future in bringing in our very poorest children, they will need also to examine their structures and make sure that there is nothing which would force a poor child to drop out. Because the poor children will not tell us about the structures, they will just simply stop coming. And that would be the biggest injustice that we can do. The message regarding justice which I would give to the girls and children from Australia would be, first of all, to sit down and contemplate what God has given to you. And then to open your eyes and look around you, and look far enough around you, because in your immediate surroundings you may not find people who are very poor. But there are people in the country who are extremely poor. And if you look around and you see where these are, then that you could reach out to them in some definite way and make a difference in their lives. And your reaching out should be such that it makes a difference to them, not a difference to you. So it may take many, many different forms. You have to, each one of you, search out yourself, and you have to have within you the mindset that just as Jesus has told us to love our neighbours as ourselves. So if we really have that mindset that we would love our neighbour as ourselves, then there should be no problem of us finding who is our neighbour and what do we have to do to love them as ourselves. And that is justice.